Just making sure that I'm live. Bear with. 22 seconds ago. Just making sure that I'm live. Alrighty. We are live. So, this is just going to be a quick one. I'm not doing too much with crypto at the moment in terms of day trading and futures. However, I am accumulating more of a larger position in the alts after the recent decline in price. So this live stream is going to be a weekly live stream on a Saturday, maybe in the mornings, probably in the evening, similar time. I like to aim for 7 o'clock, but I was out this evening, so in the evening nevertheless, tonight. So this is going to be an extension onto the normal market breakdowns that I will be hosting on the Tuesdays and Thursdays, which will cover the FX, equities, and the day trading and the intraday movements more so. And then on a weekend, on a Saturday, is when I'm going to give that much higher time frame outlook for the week ahead. You can see that I've got a completely different chart set up and chart layout for the higher time frame approach. This is the as above chart. So what I'll be doing is breaking down the crypto markets, where they stand, the alts, my holdings, updates, and then potentially, if there were to be anything on watch on the lower time frames, what I'd be looking for to execute, and when and where and how and why, etc., etc. So it's going to be a bit shorter than the normal streams. However, I'd like to think as thorough as usual, but rather a much higher time frame perspective on the crypto markets specifically. So what we're going to do is run through the three majors, BTC, Ethereum, and XRP. We'll have a look at the Bitcoin dominance, the total market cap, and then maybe a few of the alts. I'll have this list expanded for next week, but for now, I'm just going to cover the current holdings in the crypto market for myself personally, and what I'm looking and the way I'm looking to play that. So with that all being said, thank you for being here and thank you for watching. I'm going to start off with BTC. So a fresh perspective. I've not broken this down in a few days. However, we're going to make it full screen and just start on the monthly time frame. And now we've had quite the exponential rally straight up into the all-time highs, and that's been a fantastic sign of strength, of bullish momentum. We like to see this. We got that strong monthly closure in March straight through into all-time highs at around 72,500. Very cool. However, unfortunately, we were slammed straight back down with a bearish engulfing, closing back through those highs. Wherever you want to map it, we had the swing failure of a closure above and a closure back below. Now, from a higher time frame monthly perspective, this to me screams bearish, screams short. It's hit a huge amount of resistance and it's just been slammed straight back down. Now, that all came from price trading at these recent highs, which you could map around like so, which I'm going to do now. And it's this region here. Mapped on like this as a rectangle, it paints a little bit more of a different story than if it were to just be that ray line off those highs, where this is the swing failure back below. The other one is actually somewhat of a break and a retest of this as support now. So there's a bit of a conflicting bias. I usually like mapping my levels from these wicks of that last initial bullish candle and then capturing those wicks and future price action around that, like so. However, in this instant, it can really be done a few different ways. I also like doing these kinds of things. So I'm going to quickly dig into a couple of the levels that I'd be looking for personally. And what I'm going to do is remove all of these so we've got a fresh perspective and map on what I think is most important. The first being these monthly highs of February. This is huge. We've got 14 days left on the closures of the month. And it's this region primarily that I think is going to dictate the short to medium term direction, which could sink price back down into $50,000 at this support here. So these are the two primary regions to be watching for. If we get closures above this, then that's fine, and it's not an indication of massive upside, but it just seems that there's a bit more strength in the market. Whereas if we close below this region here at 64,500, then I'd be expecting some short-term bearish momentum to come through. A few other ways and a few other levels that we can be looking for are these ones here. These are very interesting as well, off these wick highs from October and November of 2021. These are both, again, regions that the market can trade up into, reject, and then come back down, or trade straight up through. That being said, either way, it's getting stuck at those highs. Now, what I'm going to do is translate Control V, no, Control Z. I'm going to translate all four of these levels because they're super important. Now, these are the ones from back here, and we've got this wick high. So, starting off with the downside target, this weekly 50 is trailing up quite far away. We love it when these runs become overextended and there's a huge gap between that 50 EMA and the highs of price in a bullish perspective. So at some point, the deviation is going to have to come back down to the weekly 50, and that lines up nicely with this wick high support. This is the downside target just beneath 50K, and that will be on the watch and will be on the cards for myself personally. But at the moment, the waters have become quite muddy at the moment. Just in this consolidation, there's not really much to go off of. We've just made the highs, come down, formed a low, and now it's a matter of, do we form a lower high and continue down lower, or do we come up, make a double top, and then continue lower, or do we come up, make a new higher high, retest the support, and then continue higher? They're the three variables and three variations that I'm looking for price to maneuver its way through this region on the weekly perspective. So this $70,000 region is really important. Now, because of what I've been saying a little earlier about all these support levels that price has to trade up through, it's a barrier to the upside that needs to be broken through and breached to the upside before any further upside is indicated or on the cards. I'm primarily looking for these shorts down into 50K first to happen first. Doesn't mean it's going to happen or that it has to happen. It's just what I think is most high probability from a personal perspective. Now, this initial one here, which was from the highs of February, or the monthly closure, this is where this was holding fantastically. We had the resistance, broke above, support, break below, retest, underside, bearish engulfing, not engulfing, but a bearish rejection to the downside. Now, it was quite messy, and it was still within these wick regions here. So there was a lot that it was just trapped between a range higher and lower. So I'm not too surprised that it's just holding and further consolidation for now. But what we can do is we can map on this as somewhat of a range, which is quite nice. Now, these historical levels from over here, whilst they're very important, we can refine those levels down here and look at this most recent price action to get a better view on what's happening, so that we can take that to the intradays and not rely on price that's 2-3 years old, but rather only a few weeks. We know that these higher low regions are around here. We've got this really nice, a few regions actually. We've got this one here, but we've also got, which my favorite is this one here. So the way I've mapped the first one is by that wick high, and then it got resistance, broke above, back below resistance, and then it's stride across. But my personal favorite are these little breaker blocks, these little switch points. I don't know what they're called, whatever you wanted to call them. It's these little breaker blocks where it's that demand and that selling pressure that push price away and then slammed back through and caused that trend change. So it's those switch points where we're looking for these little things here. It's that point that made price switch. There's usually a little block like that in there that price will revisit and hold and respect and continue lower. And that's what I'm looking for personally. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at two little examples. We've got this range that price is currently trading within, which is this larger range. And we know ranges. We've got the high, we've got the low. We can make another high, we can make another low, and we can just keep going like this forever. What I expect personally, however, is scenario one is price to come up into this region, reject this resistance, form a lower high, and then we come down into the lows as first target, and then second target 50K. Scenario 2 is we break through this, come reject the range highs, and then we trade to the bottom of the range, and we can either watch price continue higher in a bull flag, or we can watch it come down into 50K. Either way, range bound, and we can reject the highs of this range here now again. So obviously the third variable is that break and retest, and that's just going to be the breakout of the range, which is nice. We've got the high, we've got the low. Now we wait and we watch to see what's happening. Going to move this off because I'm focused more personally on the downside target coming in first. I want to see this hold as a lower high. And what I'm expecting is probably not this week, but maybe next week, is this whole region here to maybe get like a nice, beautiful shooting star to the highs, and then we can take that straight down. That would be fantastic. By stepping down onto a daily time frame, we broke above this region. I'll talk about this region in a second. And that swing high. So downside target here at 50K, we know that that's good. That's the weekly 50 in the orange, and the red is the daily 50. Now we had the break back above, lower low. I thought this was going to come hold as a lower high. However, it didn't, made a higher low and continued higher. Just a nice little inverse head and shoulders right there. And now we've got that breakout and a new higher high. So at the moment, we're just range bound within the range. We have the range from high to low, back up to the highs and back down to the lows like this. But we also have now a mini range here, and we're up at the top of these range highs. So this is quite important. I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to remove this. I'm going to remove this for now, because so that we can focus on the most recent price action. We have the highs, we have the lows. This is our range. This is what's holding price at the moment. So what we're expecting now is we've got the high 1, low 2. Can we reject the high again to make high 3 and then come back down to the range lows and then maybe pierce lower? Who knows? But if it was going to turn around, this is a fantastic turning point, because this is the previous lower high of the market structure where we went bearish here. This was wave 1 breakout after switching through these lows, wave 2 pullback, wave 3 run. Now we had the simple pullback wave 2. Now we've got the complex pullback on wave 4. Do we now have a wave 5 run on the cards? This is beautiful. We like the wave 1 run, simple wave 2 pullback, wave 3 run, complex wave 4 pullback. Do we now have the wave 5 run to complete the wave theory, Elliott wave theory? What I really like as well is that it's come back up into these highs. We'll probably take these out, swing failure, and we can look for that short and hold that all the way down into 50K, and that will be phenomenal. That is going to be a brilliant short if that were to pan out. Now, with that being said, we have this weekly grid here, which lines up beautifully with these highs. If we can just come in, take out these highs of these previous highs from late April and fail and come back below this region, 67,500, nice quarter level, we may be in for a nice short. If not, and we've maintained this level, then we're probably going to be taking out these highs here at all-time highs and revisit that second scenario of the initial higher time frames, which was taking out and coming back up to revisit those extreme range highs. Now, in terms of an intraday perspective, there isn't really anything I'm looking for personally yet. We've got the daily level here, which I'm watching. 4 hour is starting to squeeze and consolidate. And the 1 hour is also looking really good now too, but it's just very steep. I don't like how steep this is here. I don't like how steep this is, and we don't actually have too much in the way of structure. But if we were to get some kind of a breakdown after this double top, break down through these lows, these highs here, we may get a nice break and retest the 1 hour 50 to take that to the 4 hour 50, but probably hold for a bit longer term if it were to continue lower. So that could be a nice setup, and it's definitely one that I'm going to watch. It's not ready just yet, but it definitely could play out in the next few days. This would be a beautiful short to look out for. I do, however, expect price to push up a bit higher, so that's why I'm a little bit hesitant on the position. Just want to see a bit more commitment on the higher time frames first. I want to see like price actually reclaim this level and then reject and fall lower. So that's BTC, and I think I've covered that one quite extensively. 15 minutes. Now I'm going to head over to Ethereum. I don't do too much of Ethereum. I think it's cool, but the PA is never as clean as something like Bitcoin or XRP. I've never liked this chart very much. So with that being said, very similar story, however, a little bit harder to decipher. We haven't quite reached those all-time highs at 46. These are the extreme lows down at 1,050, and we're just trading in the middle. We can throw a Fibonacci, and we can see that we're at that 0.75, 0.786 region here. But it's this 0.618 that I'm really... Oh, I didn't know you could do this. Add text. Hello. That's quite cool. I don't mind that. It's this region here. This is really all I've got. And all it is just these highs here. It's a little lower swing high, breakdown, revisited. We had one candle spike up, big indecisive candle, and then the bearish engulfing. Now, key little bit of information is that we close through these lows. That's very important. It's very important watching for the closures through the wicks. Now, this is a monthly time frame, 13 days left. It's going to take a bit more investigation on the intradays to determine what's going on. Not the intradays, but like the weekly and the daily. However, this region here on the monthly tells us where we're looking for price to reverse. So now we're looking into this price action to find the fractal to take that short, or if it's going to continue higher. There's not really too much else I want to map from the monthly, just from a downside perspective longer term. That weekly 50, $2,000 is what I would consider the equivalent of that 50K BTC, probably a bit more extended, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, sorry, I lie. It was the monthly 50, not the weekly 50. But these lows here at 35 is that same equivalent to that monthly $2,000 on Ethereum. So they're my two price points, and then you've probably got the equivalent of that of this weekly 50 EMA, and this level at 48, just below 50,000, is what I would consider to be this region here, 2,700 on Ethereum. I hope that kind of made sense. So now we know we've got the higher time frame region. We're going to take this monthly and take it down to the weekly. So downside target, we can probably look to refine that a little bit. That might be a little bit too shallow. I'm not a huge fan of this. Not the biggest amount of alignment. However, I'm just going to leave it on the highs for now because that's where it was taken from the monthly. But that weekly 50 downside and anywhere around that 2,700, a bit lower, maybe 26, could be a nice downside target. But my attention, however, is drawn to that monthly low that we mapped. So that monthly low, this one here, is dragged across, and that's this one here. Now, price broke up through, small retest, came back down, support, breakdown, inside bar, so we're in that range. However, from an internal structural point of view, we're trading back above this level. So my kind of expectation is if we hold this price and we clear these highs and find acceptance above this weekly low here in 1 day and 5 minutes, if we hold 30.70, we might have acceptance and we can come up into a bit higher of a price. Now, this is a super messy retracement. We've got mini higher lows. I don't see those as little higher lows. I see this as the major high and the major low. It's a matter of, do we keep coming down like this and then pull back? Or do we pull back from here, set the low, and we're then looking for a lower high to take short, or we're looking for price to come back up to those highs and take it short, or option 3 is in the break and retest up higher. So what we can do here now is map on the highs, and that's what we're looking for. We have this weekly low, which was very important, that's holding price. And we also have the downside target, which we're probably just going to align with that weekly 50 as well and cheat a little bit. So that's quite nice. I think we have a nice grid here. But it's a daily time frame that I'm really looking for. this is actually painting a really clear picture already. So a few things, and this is right now at that point in the sand where we can go one of two ways. Number one, from a bearish perspective, we've cleared and we're below this huge support, this resistance region or supply, whatever you want to call it. Lots of acceptance, break, retest, hit the lows again, and we're just trading and chopping around. This daily 50 is holding quite nicely. Look at it here and around here. This is quite nice, and then especially resistance. So we know this daily 50 is really strong. Do we now just form a high test in this supply zone and then fall back down into the weekly 50, and that weekly candle closure finds no acceptance above 30.70, as I mentioned previously? That being said, however, if this daily time frame does manage to breach this daily 50 and these highs, then we're probably going to come up, hit these highs here, which I'm going to map on with the trend line here. We'll probably come revisit this, and if this will be a nice little range high and low. Watch this. Bam. So that's the current range. So these are the range highs at 32.70. So this could be another region where price comes up to before we short, and that's perfectly fine. However, from a bit more of a higher time frame upside perspective, I like this. Again, it's just these big wicks here that set the support and the tone. Look, resistance, support, consolidation, support, breaks, resistance, support, breakdown, and it's now open. Whatever you want to call it, I don't know. I like these zones, and I'm drawn to them. So it could go from here. It could go from here. It could go from here. Or it could come all the way back up here. I don't think it would get stuck at these highs. I think if it was coming up here, it's coming all the way to the highs. But at the moment, we're in a nice point where I'm looking for those shorts down lower. So I'm going to leave these ones mapped like so because it looks quite neat for now. There's a few zones to watch. But we're just looking for these weekly closures at the moment and to see what happens here on the daily. Now, Ethereum. Not Ethereum, we just did that. We're at 22 minutes. Now, this one's been quite the tormentor, quite the fuckery. So XRP on the monthly time frame, a huge bit of information is set from these highs in September of 22 at 55 cents. This has been encapsulating price for the longest time now. So this is the range that we're stuck in. Yes, you could do it up to there, I suppose. Both are fine. Now we're in a range, so nothing's confirmed. However, I do have a very strong feeling we're going to come and revisit these 30-cent lows, and this is a nice time to buy. If we hit the 30 cents, though, we're probably going to come lower. But the reason I say that is because this level here has been so strong. We've tried multiple times to breach above. We just have not been able to. Now, we did get the break above and closure below, and then the next month straight back above, break below. It's been revisited as resistance now, and we're also back below that weekly 50, but we could just continue to chop for another few months around this region. However, that being said, every time it happens, this could be the time that it does breach lower, because now we've got the monthly closure in April below the resistance, below the monthly 50. We've revisited, rejected as resistance. Now we're coming back and trading below. So my eyes are south right now. My eyes are south until the lower 30-cent range. 30-cent regions at these lows. Now, this on the weekly time frame, again, is very much confluenced and congruent with that belief that we have this huge resistance and we have the big breakouts. This region here is just phenomenal for transactions and for business to be made. Now, the only thing that I'm not a huge fan of right now is that price hasn't broken these lows. If we breach these lows, we are coming down to 30 cents and no less. When I say no less, I mean we're not stopping before 30 cents. We may go lower than 30 cents, but we're not stopping until we get to 30 cents. However, I'm conflicted because these lows are holding. We could easily reject and come back up into the highs and fuck around for a little bit longer. However, we're back below the weekly 50. We're back below that resistance in that region. We've revisited once, 2, 3 times up into this zone, and now we're trading around. So it's very boring. Nothing's happening. And until something happens, we do nothing and we wait. Daily time frame isn't giving us a better story at all. We just are stuck in this range. What I personally think, however, and what I'd like to see is for price to come up, revisit the range highs, and then come down lower. We want to fill this wick. Once we get closures and price moving down here, I do think that we can start to see that bearish momentum. If we breach these range highs, we're coming back up. I don't know how far. I'm not really looking for that because I'm waiting to buy down lower. I'm not in this market yet from a recent standpoint. So we're waiting. Breaking above. And then we've also got this daily 50 EMA. Does price hold or does it not? We will see. But for now, there's a few different scenarios that may play out, but there's nothing to do because it's boring and sideways. BTC dominance. Now, this one's a huge one. This, to me, is what's really getting me excited because Bitcoin is at the highs and the alts are at the lows. If Bitcoin dominance goes lower in correspondence with Bitcoin also pulling back lower, then I think alt season is in. Now we're just a few months away from that potentially happening, maybe in the late summer. This region here that has acted as really nice support and resistance for a little while could be where price comes up to, fucks around for a little bit, and then we get first target at that monthly 50, and then we may come down into these regions here. If we get this move, alts are going up, and that's what I'm waiting for, and that's how I'm playing this market right now. That's my game plan, and I'm going to be accumulating on the alts as they go lower, as Bitcoin dominance goes up, and as Bitcoin still plays around where it's at now. Currently, there's a lot of money in the market at the moment. However, it's a very similar chart to Bitcoin where it's on a huge overextended run. At some point, that's going to come back down. It's just a matter of when. Bearish engulfing straight back through those levels to the downside. So I think the sellers are in control. I do think the sellers are in control and any bullish momentum is short-lived after the top of this overextension. I could be wrong. However, a lot of money is going to have to come into the market for something big to happen from here. $2.27 trillion is the region, and 2.35 is where we're currently trading at. That's where we're currently trading at. Do we think that if the market is at a huge resistance zone in the market cap, that there is a huge influx of money ready to be deployed? I don't think so. Do we then think if Bitcoin were to come lower, that everyone would panic sell? And this chart from a technical perspective would manifest and play out because of its bearish confluence factors? I agree. I think so. I think the story works quite well. Do we think it's going to happen now? Probably not. I want to see Bitcoin dominance pull back first as a nice way to see what will happen. So total 2 is just crypto without Bitcoin. And then my holdings. I'm just going to quickly go on the holdings now, and then I'm going to wrap it up and just look at one more actually that I am looking at. So I've just invested into these 5 coins. These are my first entries on these for this entry here, from these lows to catch that next run to the upside. My first initial entries that I'm going to continue scaling into. We had a nice low set. We had the high. I entered on the dip on the higher low back into support, waiting to catch that run to the upside. If we don't, then I'll buy more at these lows, and then I'll buy more if it goes lower to catch that rally. That's the plan. Bidding this market at the bottom of the market. Now, these are all monthly plays. There's no reason to go any lower than the monthly. It's this nice support region. We've got 0. We've got the risk to reward tool. We've got 327% to the 75-cent upside target. If we catch a bid from maybe even 10 cents, it's a 600% return. So there's huge risk to reward. None of them have less than a 3 to 1 to the first target. That's the way that I'm playing it. This is nice. I like it. I'm going to go to the weekly, even though I said I wasn't, because a key characteristic across a few of these alts are that we're stuck below this weekly 50. However, we're holding this support, which is the higher low. And that's what I'm really liking. We got the higher low, higher high, still technically a higher high, even if it's an equal bottom, Do we come back up to the highs or not? Do we form a head and shoulders and come lower? I don't know, but I'm buying on the neckline, and I like that. Fantastic. I think this is a brilliant setup. I think it's brilliant, but I just think it needs a long time to play out. So, more time to stack the cash. AXS, again, buying these lows. We have a few different ways we can map this, to be perfectly honest, but I like the extremities. Again, we had the nice highs, rejecting the resistance, pull back, entering on the dip, and I'm just going to continue buying as it comes lower. First initial upside target will realistically be around that $20 region. However, upside target is $50, so huge risk to reward on this one. Again, buying as it continues lower against me. CRV, huge support at the bottom. This is probably my best position, my best entry. Again, we'll buy more if it continues lower. However, we've got some really clear upside targets that we can look to hold for the longer term. This is insanity. We're going to be slowly building a bigger position. FIL, Filecoin, very nice. Support, breakout, higher low, or do we come back down and form that triple bottom and I buy more? Again, all of them have a 3-to-1 minimum to the first target, and that is the game that I'm playing. I'm playing the risk to reward 3-to-1 in my favor, 300% on the target, to the first target. Zcash, ZEC, very cool. I like this one as well. We've got a nice, huge upside target of around a 3.8-to-1 at the initial entries. Again, if it comes down any lower, then we buy more. But this is such a fantastic region to be buying. It's so discounted, and the upside is phenomenal. So it's these movements where, unfortunately, these rallies have happened, and now we're just in that huge, slow, long consolidation. But this is where patience and slowly building of a position will pay off in the long term. It may happen in the next few years. I don't know. We can look at the Astro. Actually, let's have a look at the Astro in a sec. That could be cool. Oh, should I? No, I won't. I'll make a separate video for that. That's something else. However, that being said, these are my positions. This is what I'm looking at on crypto, Bitcoin, and the market as a whole. I'm going to do this one weekly on a Saturday. I'm going to call it here now. If you're watching, thank you very much for tuning in. I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to start getting some engagement on the streams as well. That would be cool. But again, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And in terms of crypto, I'll be back next weekend, Saturday evening. In terms of FX and equities and the day trading, intraday kind of stuff, I'll be back Tuesday night and Thursday night. And I'm going to say no more for now, but I have some other things in the pipeline that I would like to start producing. So that being said, thank you very much, and I'll catch you next time.